So the guys want me once again to look at some woke TikToks, I guess. I'm really not into it, but let's see what they got for me today.
God almost certainly does not exist.
What did he say?
And one of the main reasons I feel so confident saying that is because all of the arguments for God's existence come from humans. The holy books, the ontological argument, the cosmological argument, the arguments from beauty, etc. All of these arguments are just things that humans have made up, and none of it is good enough to convince me that a God exists. I get asked sometimes what it would take for me to start believing in a God, and the answer is so simple. It's God. If God were a real entity, it could interact with me, and I would immediately start believing that it exists. But the fact that God doesn't do that, the fact that God provides me no evidence for its existence, shows me that God either does not exist at all, that's the most probable answer. It doesn't care if I believe in it or not, or it is an actively evil God that created me with the sole intention of torturing me forever in the afterlife, and that's why it lets me continue to not believe in it.
You sound just like somebody I know. Very sad, but I can tell you this. God, in his own word, he makes it very simple. He says, the sun, the moon, the stars, the sky, everything that was created on the earth was done so that man would have no excuse. We don't have an excuse because we are a set distance away from the sun. If we were, closer by a mile or out by a mile, it's a lot less than that. It's probably, like feet. But in any case, if we were closer or further away, we would be either burned alive or frozen to death. Nothing in the universe that was created by happenstance. Neither did everything that exists now in the universe happen from nothing. So something can't come from nothing. Something came from not only something, but from someone. We believe it's God. God said man has no excuse. You obviously have an excuse because you want God to talk to you directly because you're so special. Well, my friends, two things. First of all, I would hope that, I really wouldn't want God to talk to you directly because I got a feeling it might not be good for you. But I can say this. It's true. Everything that you see has been written by man as an excuse, or as you say. But really, it's what other way is God going to communicate with his creation? Think about it for a moment. If there is a God that we say exists and he's way above us, his thoughts are greater than our thoughts, his ideas are something we can't even possibly comprehend, his ways are higher than our ways, it's like you and an ant pile. What possible way would you communicate with the ants? Why would you even want to? Because they're ants. You could just step on them and move on, start over again. So be careful what you ask for. You might just find yourself in that position where you're crying out to the God that you say doesn't exist.
Now, I'm obviously not saying that Dr. Craig or all religious people are psychopaths and psychotics.
Yes, we are.
This, to me, is the true horror of religion. It allows perfectly decent and sane people to believe by the billions what only lunatics could believe on their own. If you wake up tomorrow morning thinking that saying a few Latin words over your pancakes is going to turn them into the body of Elvis Presley, you have lost your mind. But if you think more or less the same thing about a cracker and the body of Jesus, you're just a Catholic.
It's so sad when I hear people like that. They want to make fun of all the traditions and things that we have as Christians, Catholics, whatever. And it is, and there's really no rebuttal to someone like that because their heart is hardened to the things of God. And it doesn't matter what you say or what argument you try to present to them, they just turn it right around because they have no conscience. It's been seared, but the Bible talks about that. It's been seared to the point where the only thing that will matter to you is a true life experience with God. And I can tell you, God still loves this guy as far out as he might be. And he might live a long life in this position. And he's only hurting himself because all of us live for eternity. Everything that God creates lives for eternity. The universe is still expanding. What he creates keeps going on. So you'll live for eternity, but unfortunately, your eternity maybe not be as good as you might hope it would be.
If you're saying that the creator of the universe lives outside of space and time, which is really bizarre, I don't even know how you could possibly know that other than just
nice mask.
People telling you it over and over again. Like, what's the actual evidence of that? But anyways, that's fine. We'll just tackle that for another day. How could God have any sort of thoughts or actions if he lives outside of space and time? You need time to do anything, right? Like a thought, creation, all these things. It takes time. So, in a sense, that would make God a contradiction. And if God is a contradiction,
What?
the most likely scenario is that this is just a made-up religion and that Christianity is most likely false.
God is outside of space and time, and so because he doesn't exist in your time and in your time frame, therefore he can't exist. What? I have nothing. You're lost, buddy. You're so far out there. Just to possibly entertain the possibility that there is someone greater than you. When you look at the sun and the stars and the sky and the universe, when you look at all of the wonderful creations, all the different birds and animals and reptiles and crawly, creepy things and flying things and all those, don't you ever just look in awe and say, wow, that's pretty amazing? No? None of it. You think all of that happened out of the Big Bang? There was nothing, but then there was something. There was something. There was nothing, but then there was something. And that something banged together, and the Big Bang happened. And from that Big Bang, billions and billions and billions and billions of years, but there was no time, billions and billions and billions of years, and then man. Wow. You got a lot more faith than me.
I believe that you know that God is real. I'm going to go back to that, but let me just say, I do wish the best for you.
For me, in my case, it's just that through study and truly unbiased research and honest searching, I arrived at the conclusion that Christianity, I believe, is deeply immoral, and the image of God is deeply immoral, and some of the teachings that are there are incredibly immoral. So I don't subscribe to that because I do believe that I do have a better moral compass.
I find it hard to believe that you came to that conclusion based on objective research.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
colonialism, right? Yeah.
Colonialism, manifest
Slavery.
destiny, slavery, what is not denied or rejected in the Bible. So there are a whole bunch of immoral things that happen in the Bible that some apologists will say, well, no. That was a historical thing that everyone did, so it has to be documented as the thing that happened historically. So is it human or is it divine? So, for me, it's just immoral.
Well, I get what you're saying because there's a lot of crap in institutional religion, including Christianity. Judging, hypocrisy, abuse. So I get it when people walk away from the church, but don't walk away from Jesus.
100%.
Yeah, good word there, brother. Don't walk away from God. Look, you could believe that the church is corrupt. You could believe that, any religious organization may not be the greatest thing in the world. You can argue those things, absolutely. But to say that God doesn't exist and that your morality is greater than his? Wow, that's pretty hypocritical. So in other words, you never stole a thing. You never lied once in your life. You have just been the most perfect person. You never looked at a woman, well, in your case, maybe a man, with lust. I don't know, buddy. But all I can say is to hold yourself out as being at a higher moral standard than God himself, I pity you.
Somebody born in India doesn't believe in your God at all. He believes in Ganesha, the blue elephant god. But why would God have done it that way?
What are you talking about?
And had I been born there, that's what I would believe instead of a
you
Western.
idiot.
So why is my brain different than the Indian's brain?
And the argument that some would make, who are universalists, would say that both of those individuals are in touch with the same supernatural force or ultimate reality or the real. People have different characterizations of what that is. And that so many people do that is a demonstration that there's some deep need.
Right, exactly. A deep need that evolved like all of our other needs. And you could just start with something like hunger and thirst and sex. I mean, really basic drives that obviously we evolved for very specific.
Well, he's got some valid points there from a twisted perspective anyhow. But, if you've ever done any traveling anywhere in the world, if you've ever been to any third world nation, if you've ever been to a place that really didn't really believe in Christianity, maybe even just a couple of generations ago, what you'll find is they believed in some kind of deity. And when presented with Christianity, when presented with the gospel, what they did is they found that their deity was present there in the story of Christianity. So in other words, the ignorance of many of these tribes and peoples from foreign and distant places wasn't maybe as ignorant as we thought. It's just that that was the only way that they could comprehend what they actually believed. So what I'm trying to say is, God has a way of reaching people all over the world in many different ways, shapes, and forms. And we don't know it all because his ways are higher than ours. And we can't possibly try to figure it out. So from a human perspective, when we try to figure out God and try to figure out, well, there's people over there and they believe in their God like a blue elephant, as you said in the beginning. Yes, there are and have been some crazy tribes that believe in some pretty strange and ridiculous things. But when boiled down, breaking down, most of the world, regardless of where they are or what they've been exposed to, they all believe in a higher power, a higher God. And my experience traveling in over 60 nations, I can tell you this, most times when you express the idea behind Christianity that God loved man, created man, and loved man so much that he sent his only son to the earth to atone for the sin of man in order to restore man, who he loved so much, back to himself. It resounds in them. They grasp onto that. That concept, that idea makes sense to them. So I can't hold to anything that you are saying. And personally, I have to believe that you have not had the experience of actually traveling and meeting people of other faiths, of other beliefs. Because if you did, there's no way you could believe the nonsense that you were just spewing. All the best to you. That's it.
Yeah.
My God, that was easy. No.
You get the Trump ones now.
Oh, cool. Trump.